Welcome to Mother Daughter Projects. I'm Steph.
I'm Vicki, and today we're making a faux live edge table.
Now, why are we making this, Mom?
Well, because I found this piece of lumber in my backyard, and it had this really gnarly knot hole in it, and I thought that would make the best live edge table.
But it's not live edge, so this was the perfect opportunity to try out some of the faux live edge techniques, and we weren't sure if it was going to be hard or easy or anything, but spoiler alert, it was easy.
Super easy and super fun.
So come join us as we show you how we
live edge this table.
Here's a close-up of the damaged wood we'll be using. You can see it's in pretty rough shape. We also had a box of brand new hairpin legs in the garage. We started by deciding how long to make the table. We settled on 4 feet. We just had to determine where we wanted the knot to be placed within the length of the table. We marked the cut lines and took the wood to our sliding miter saw. We really like these Husky adjustable work tables. They can be moved around and the height adjusted to hold the wood at the height we need for cutting. We use some chisels to clean up the knot a little bit and use canned air to blow away any loose pieces. The first step in making a faux live edge on this dimensional wood is to cut a wavy pattern with a jigsaw. We tried to be random and not create a noticeable pattern. The key to using a jigsaw is having a good blade. We're using Bosch blades. Next, we're using a flap disc, which is made up of 80 grit sandpaper for our angle grinder. I just worked my way to smooth out any roughness and again tried to smooth out any areas that look like a pattern. This was really fun and easy to control and worked better than I expected. I think it was also beneficial to have a battery-powered angle grinder. I also softened up the edges of the sides but left the back flat. Next, Mom used an orbital and sheet sander to remove stains and roughness from the board. Next, we took the board into the garage, and on the back side, Mom placed T-back tape to seal the back so the epoxy wouldn't leak through when poured through the top. This is waterproof tape. Then Mom used a brayer to make sure it was fully attached to the wood. Mom mixed up the Total Boat epoxy, which uses a 1-to-1 ratio. Once it was mixed, she started by brushing a little bit into the knot holes as a first coat to seal the edges. She let that dry overnight. Next, she added blue mica powder to more of the Total Boat epoxy and poured that into the larger knot holes, creating a lake effect. In all, she did 4 layers, being careful not to overfill or get too much excess on the wood. With that dry, she sanded off any excess epoxy that got on the wood, being careful not to scratch the main epoxy. To finish the board, Mom started with a pre-stain conditioner, which will prepare the surface for a more even coat of stain. We wanted to see the wood grain through the stain, so Mom applied the stain and I quickly wiped it off. We had to work fast, but this method worked well and achieved the look we were going for. I also cleaned any stain that got on the epoxy. Once that dried, Mom finished the entire board with mid-wax clear poly. And once that dried, she slightly sanded with 220 grit sandpaper, then added 1 more coat of poly. This was to ensure that it was a nice smooth finish. Lastly, we added the legs. We made sure they were equal distance from each other, marked the holes, drilled pilot holes, then screwed the legs into place. And the screws were included with the legs. And done! This table would be great in an entryway to place keys or daily items. This was a fun project to see if we could give new life to a discarded piece of wood. I think it was a pretty bright idea.
What we learned.
Well, because this piece of wood had been outside for so long, there was a lot of like mildew looking stains and a lot of roughness. So I really wanted to use a belt sander because that's a way you can get rid of a lot of stuff really quickly. So we used our belt sander, and we've always had a lot of problems with this one, and I think we just got a bad tool. I don't think it's the company, I think it's just a bad tool. So it just didn't work. So I pulled out my dad's old vintage one, and although that tool worked, the sandpaper was so old that it just broke. So it was like, can't use that. So we just went back to using a sheet sander and an herbal sander with a low grit sandpaper, and that actually worked really, really well.
Now, when we brought the wood in from outside, we just carried it in originally, and I got a big splinter in my hand. So that was my bad. I thought even before I went out there, I was like, oh, I should put gloves on because it's rough wood. Well, I made a mistake, and so we had to spend about 10 minutes getting that blister out of my, splinter out of my hand.
It was a good size splinter.
And it broke off too, so it was, yeah. Everything's good. My hand is fully healed, but wear your gloves.
Now, one of the things I wanted to do with this piece of wood when I saw it was to epoxy it. So before I did any epoxy in it, I actually took a little bit of the epoxy and I just painted it around the sort of the raw edges because I didn't want that to get stained, and I wasn't going to fill the epoxy all the way up to the top, and that worked so well. And we found it's best to do that epoxy first and then do the cleanup and then do the staining, which actually worked really, really well. I was really happy with it.
So thanks for joining us. If you want to see more projects from us, be sure to visit us at motherdaugghterprojects.com. And if you like this video, please give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button right here on YouTube. All right, we'll see you in the next project. Bye.
Bye.